and student athletes Taylor Pleasance and Georgia Clark. We will start with a opening statement from coach, and then we will take it over to questions for our student athletes, dismiss the student athletes, and then turn it over to questions for coach. If you have a question on the Zoom, please use the raise your hand function and state your name and media affiliation. We'll get started with a opening statement from coach.
Just congrats to Ole Miss. Best of luck as they move forward. I think that, our miscues on defense really put us in a bad spot throughout the game. Something that's not very typical of our team. I mean, I think we went errorless all last weekend. So I think that put us behind. And then it seemed like from at that point, every single thing we squared up or hit well was right where they were standing. So, I think we did a good job of hitting balls hard. We did a good job of executing pitches for the most part. Just not going to win a lot of ball games with 4 errors on the board.
Now questions for our student athletes.
Georgia, can you just talk about what, when you get mistakes like that, how are you able to change that as a player?
I think you just keep believing that what you've been doing all year has been working. That it's going to change around for you, and you just got to believe that the next pitch is the one that you're going to get. And we talk all the time, coaches talk to us about 2 + 2 = 4. You have to believe 2 + 2 = 4 before you can do anything. So I think having the belief that we can do it and you can turn it around is the biggest thing in those spots.
Either player or both. Just when those defensive miscues happen, a slight miss here, kind of there. Is that something where do you feel like they compound themselves, or is it just kind of, maybe there's some jitters? Was there something you could attribute that to when those miscues kind of start building off of each other?
I think we could have done something a little earlier within the team ourselves, instead of just letting it snowball. Because after the 4, it looks like it snowballs, but like after the 1, just put a stop to it, slow things down with your eyes, make adjustments, and just keep going.
Any more questions for student athletes? Any questions on the Zoom for our student athletes? All right, you two may be dismissed. Thanks. All right, questions for coach?
I'll start. When it comes to those defensive miscues, did you feel like coming into the game, were there jitters, were there nerves? Did you feel like in the middle of those, were there something else going on? Like, what do you attribute those to? Because it is uncharacteristic.
I think Ole Miss does a good job of just putting pressure on you. I mean, we had a similar scenario. I mean, we were without Taylor when we were there, but we had a similar scenario at their place in game 1, and then I think they just do that to you with their type of offense. They just run well. They put the ball in play. They bunt a lot. They, move their runners up. So I think they just create the pressure, and you just have to be solid. I think getting outs is obviously, that seems like the captain obvious answer, but instead of worrying so much about lead runners or trail runners, just get the out that's given to you. Be the first one to 21. And we didn't do a good job of that.
So can we just talk about the start that Sydney gave you? I know there were no unearned runs against her.
I thought she did a good job. I was thinking at one point how cool it was that we ran a freshman out there for our first postseason game. Not many people can do something like that and, get such a quality start out of someone like that. So what a bright future for her. And, it was a big moment for her. I think she's going to be in a lot more spots the rest of this year. So, I think it was good running her out there, and I like what she gave us.
The fact that you did play Ole Miss in a 3-game series, that was kind of an interesting series mid-year. Do you think that factored in at all, preparation on either side for this game today?
Yeah, I mean, the preparation's tough. It's such a short turnaround having the 10 a.m. game. There were moments in the game where I thought man, I wish I would have researched this one player just a little bit more. I wish I would have had a little more time just to do a couple things. It was short for what our typical week looks like or what our typical prep would look like. Our kids took finals on Monday and Tuesday. We got here late last night to get the 10 a.m., which there's great things about the 10 a.m. too. I'm not complaining. You don't have to wait around and, you get, your BP time and your start time. There's great things about it, but it was a very tight turnaround, not our typical prep. I know I personally felt that. I don't know if our team did. We also got rained out yesterday at practice. We didn't take defense. We hit and did what we could in our indoor, which is not our typical routine either. So, I mean, but that's what this is about, right? It's the teams that can persevere through the hard things. It's not excuses. It's not any of that stuff. Like, you got to show up and, play ball when your number's called.
We have a question on Zoom. Michael Cobble, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yeah, Beth, I had two questions actually. Just one, you talked about, them making the plays. How demoralizing is that when your offense is trying to get something going and you just can't get anybody on because of the defense that the opposing team is playing? And then second, if you would, just talk about the strength of schedule, your RPI, the waiting game that you now must play.
Yeah, it's going to be a long time until Sunday at whatever time the selection show is, isn't it? It's going to be, Sunday's already the longest day of the year, I think, when you're waiting to find out your fate. But I think it will be a good time for us to go back and reset and clean some things up. It's really nice to practice without knowing your next opponent. I think so often we're practicing just preparing for what's next instead of worrying about LSU softball. So we'll have a few days to finish up finals and just worry about LSU softball. Hopefully I'm going to make it to the Louisiana Fest tomorrow, Michael Cobble. I'm sure he's been there before, at the lab school. So I'll be back to see my kids if that's any kind of consolation. It's not, but, and the other question, the defensive miscues, I think we continued to do what we needed to do. We hit balls hard all over the ballpark. I mean, we smoked balls right at them. It's just, we didn't catch one break. We didn't get the one timely hit. We didn't, get anything to fall. I mean, Savannah smokes the ball right out the pitcher. The last ball of the game is an incredible catch. I mean, we smoked balls all around the park. That's all you can ask for them.
Right. We have two questions on Zoom. We'll start with Eric.
Coach, obviously not the outcome you wanted, but can you get a positive with Sydney's performance in a postseason game that could help her kind of get used to what's coming with the regionals? You've put her in big spots pitching against Oklahoma. Did you feel that could pay off come now when you call her number next week or two here in the postseason?
Yeah, great to hear your voice too, Eric. Thanks for being on. I think it's going to be really valuable for her. I think it was a big stage for her to go out and do what she's done all year. She's been in a lot of big games, but I think this is probably the biggest. So to see her be able to go and do the same thing she's done all year long, it's really awesome for her. She has really been a huge lift for us and has done so many great things as a freshman. So I think it's going to be a really valuable experience we'll take with us.
Bryce, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Coach, obviously disappointing result today, but how do you balance, and is this something that you do, or is this more of a team-led thing, balance the disappointment, being able to turn the page, knowing that there's more softball to play?
Yeah, I'm proud of this team. I'm proud of our resume. I think, walking into today, there were two teams in the league with 40 wins. We were one of them. We played a really tough schedule. Our RPI is really quality. So I'm proud of our resume that we have moving forward. Of course, nobody wants to lose. We hate losing. We wanted to play on. We wanted to win. But I'm proud of the resume we're going to put forth. And I think that's what we have to just continue believing in what our team has accomplished all season long. I think that we have made a very tough decision for the committee. Like, I think, they should pick LSU. We've got a really great season and strength of schedule. So I think that's our silver lining. We go back and we have a few days to get ready to BS. We've been in this spot before. We've been in this spot where these days have proved really valuable in getting us a reset, getting us back to where we wanted to be. We've had teams go to the College World Series that have lost the first game of the SEC tournament.
Perfect. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.